What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the episode review for Delilah, Season 1, Episode 6. The episode, I don't know how it's pronounced. It's spelled, I think it's Bachata. It's Bachata. But you guys, without further ado, let's get into this review, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode, you guys remember in the last one, Delilah was arrested. And we see Mace, and he's with the kids. So Dion is asking, where's Delilah? Maya is asking, Marcus is asking. So Mace tells them that Delilah was at the office, and she just, worked really late at night, like she couldn't even be bothered to call. And Maya is upset because, her conservatory that she wants to go to, she needed her stuff signed by that day, and no Delilah. So she is upset. So then we do see that Delilah was bailed out of jail by Demetria. And, Demetria is really, really digging with this Harper situation because she's telling her that Harper, told her some things to do. And Delilah, she's like, she's really good for a paralegal. And, Delilah's like, she went to law school. She's like, she did. I'm like, Harper, but Demetria, let this go. So then Demetria also says that she talked to Delilah's father. And she's like, really? And Delilah is just, we all know she doesn't see it for her dad, but Demetria tells her that he kept his distance so that way he can make sure that there was no appearance of impropriety, which that set her off as well. So once she's upset. So Demetria hands her a flash drive. She said, what is this? She said, she says that an anonymous tip came into the cops about the whereabouts of the laptop. So the laptop was found outside of Leah's apartment in a dumpster. But the thing is, you have to report. This is an area where only people who live there with that key has access to it. And Leah never reported her key stolen, so something's off. And then she said your dad just copied, the hard drive. So it just makes me, I was thinking, I'm like, is Leah hiding something? But we'll get into it We'll get into it, you guys. So, yeah, let's go ahead and keep talking. So Tamara goes over to Delilah's, and she wants to see how Delilah is doing. Now, on the other side, Gordon is calling the office trying to check on Delilah, and Harper tells him that she's in with the client, and Demetria walks in, and she puts the phone down and she said, "Did you bail her out?" She says, "Yes." She says she'll be here soon. So then Harper tells Demetria that she thinks that they should reschedule Leah's deposition, but Demetria feels like, no, we need to still stick on this because if we don't, things are just going to pile up and mount up, so let's get it done now. I agree with Demetria. Let's pause here and keep moving. All right, you guys, so Lil Mama stopped by Gordon to get a book that she left there. So at this point, Gordon wants to talk to her, and she's like, Gordon, what is there to talk about at this point? You don't want me to live here. You haven't told Delilah about us. What are we doing? He says, but I did tell Delilah about us. Although Delilah got upset, which, rightfully so, she got upset. This is a woman that, I'm not going to say broke up your marriage, but she didn't help things in your marriage. And you want your kids to meet her? Yeah, I don't think so. So, where are we at? So, yeah, she says, I just came to give you this key because I guess her roommate had found a place to stay. He tells her, well, hey, why don't you come back over here later tonight so that way you can meet my kids? I'm like, girl, you're still looking stupid, but okay. So then we see Tamara. So Tamara, she's, like I said, she's with Delilah. She's just making sure Delilah is good. And Delilah says she is okay. And, she just told her, like, I got scared when Maya called me and told me that you hadn't came home. She was like, you could have called me and I would have came over and stayed with the kids. She's like, Mace was on it. She said, but you could have called me. And Delilah says, the reason that I didn't call you, Tam, I only get one phone call. And the reason that I didn't call you is because I felt that you would use me being arrested in this case. And Tamara didn't deny that she would use it. And she said, exactly, that's why I didn't call you. Ooh. I didn't know this thing was coming up next. All right, you guys. Whew. Christine and Andre. If trifling as people, if you looked up the word trifling in the dictionary, you would see a picture of Christine and Andre right there. So Christine, I can't with her right now. Like, I cannot with Christine. I can't. And I can't with Andre on top of that. So Christine sent Andre down to see Nate to deliver divorce papers to him. I'm like, oh, you dirty, you know what I want to call her. I'm like, you dirty as hell for that one. Like, you sent your side piece to give your husband divorce papers. You don't have enough gall, enough balls, and you just don't have it in you. Christine. You are a spineless person. That's all I gotta say. So Nate finally knows the truth. I don't know how Nate didn't see this. I mean, Delilah told you, and I just don't. I guess you just didn't. I guess you had your rose-colored glasses on, and you just didn't want to see the fact that your wife was cheating on you and had moved on. We're gonna talk about that trifling person in a minute, and we're gonna talk about him. So then we get to the depot prep. So Demetria is talking to Leah. She asked her, was there anything on the laptop that you didn't want anybody to know about? And Leah says, no, it was just those pictures, but Delilah has already saw them. She says, okay. So there was nothing incriminating on your laptop? She says, no, it wasn't. So then she says, well, does anyone else have a key to your place besides you? And Leah got a little upset about it, but she said, my mom has a key. I do sometimes Airbnb the place, and Fred had a key as well, but he gave it back. And at that point I was like, oh, so Fred may have went and made a copy of Leah's key. Got it. So Leah got a little bit flustered. She wanted to stop the depot, but they said, no, we got to keep doing this. So she says, you know what, let me compose myself, get myself together, and then I'll be right back. I just feel like Leah's hiding something. I don't know what it is, but Leah is not telling the complete truth about something. Leah is withholding something, and I just can't put my finger on it quite yet. But she's holding something back. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So then we see Delilah. So Delilah is with Mason, and they are going through the files. I was trying to figure out kept figuring out. I'm like, what files are they going through? Because they don't have Gary Shay's files. But then I thought about it. They're going through the flash drive of Leah's computer that her dad was able to, copy. So that's what they're going through. But at this point, they just don't know what they're looking for. So then Harper comes in there, and she's fumbling around, and she's asking Delilah, is she okay? And Delilah's like, I'm okay. Trust me, I'm okay. So then she asks her to have Demetria draft an amended complaint. And she's like, an amended complaint for what? She said, for whistleblower retaliation. She says, okay, I'm on it. So then we see Tamara. So Tamara is doing her deposition with Fred. And Fred is just kind of breezing through his deposition as if, he knows nothing. The only reason why he wants that computer back is because Leah was his assistant. She handled his calendars, XYZ. And I'm like, but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But okay, I guess if you want to say so, let's go with that. So then when Senior comes in, and when Junior comes in, and he tells, Fred that, Tamara has an airtight motion to exclude Gary Shay's files if this were to go to court. And, Fred gets up and says, oh, so she's one of the good guys, like you did say. And Tamara's like, what does he mean by that? So then Wynn starts talking in circles, but then he brings it back, and we going to discuss this because this actually was kind of interesting to me when we got to it. So Wynn tells her, how about you come to dinner and you meet Wynn Senior, and why don't you bring Casey with you as well, so that way we can discuss partnership. Like I said, we're gonna discuss the whole partnership thing in a little bit because I have a lot of questions about this partnership. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So we see Demetria. So Demetria has done this complaint, the whistleblower retaliation, the amended complaint for Delilah, and she's talking to Harper. So now she wants to get the charges against Delilah dropped. And then she brings up wanting to find the Jane Doe's case, not knowing that Jane Doe is right in front of her. And, I don't know if she just couldn't read the room or what, because Harper says that case was before I got here, so I don't know where it is. And like I said, Demetria just keeps going and going and going. I'm like, Demetria, girl, you might want to just read the room. You're making this girl uncomfortable. And I don't know how she didn't see that. So then, she asked Harper about law school. She's like, Delilah told me you went to law school. Like, what happened? She says, it just wasn't a good time for me at that time. And she's like, well, if you ever want to go back, I can help you with the LSAS and this and this and that. And I'm like, again, Demetria, read the room. This girl is uncomfortable talking about this situation. Like, she's very pushy. And I'm like, because she's talking about, we need more black esquires. But I'm like, Demetria, can you read? You can't read. Can you not read body language? Because this girl's body language is telling you this is a situation that I don't want to discuss. So then we see Maya. So Maya is upset, with Delilah because she missed her chance with the conservatory. And Delilah's like, well, I can still sign, I can still sign the papers that you need. She's like, that's not it. She says you had to have an audition, and the last audition was this morning. So it is what it is. Then she says, where were you? She says, she said, Mace told you guys where I was. She said, Mom, I thought we said no lying in this house. So then Delilah tells them that she was arrested. And they were like, you were arrested? She's like, yes. So then Gordon shows up to take the kids. And, he gets upset when he finds out that Delilah was arrested and that Mace was with the kids. So I'm starting to wonder if there was a relationship at some point between Delilah and Mason. I'm starting to wonder that. Because he tells her that, little mama's going to meet the kids. She's like, didn't we say we were going to discuss that? He said, you had Mason around my kids and I didn't know. So at least I'm telling you. Okay, whatever. Whatever, Gordon. Can't stand him. But let's move on. All right, you guys. And next we see Tamara and Casey. So they're out and they're working out. So Tamara tells Casey that, the Winds want them at dinner. And she asked him, when you come to dinner, can you come as my fiance and not as the deputy mayor? And he was like, okay, Tamara, I can come as your fiance and not as a deputy mayor. So then we see the kids. They met their playmate and Lil Mama. So they had dinner. Maya was looking at her funny for a few minutes. I'm like, has she figured this out yet? First of all, I was like, have you realized that you and this girl might be closer in age than you think? So they play some game. They play a game. It looks like that game that Ellen DeGeneres has, where you put the phone up and it has, like if it had Black Panther. People give you the clues, and then if they get it, you down it, or if you don't, if you pass, you pass. Do it up. What is the name of that game? What is the name of that game? I don't know. But yeah, they played that game. So Marcus and Gordon go to, put the dishes up. So that leaves Lil Mama and Maya to talk. So Maya asked Lil Mama, when did you meet my dad? She says, oh, I met him at school. She says, oh, you're a professor. She says, no, I'm a student. She told her I think she said she's an econ major. She was like, oh, so you met him at such and such school? She says, no, I met him at Davidson. And she was like, oh, okay. So the wheels in Lil Maya's head are turning at this point. Oh, God. Christine, let's get back to this heifer. Christine. So Nate has Delilah in his room and Dion is there. So we find out that in the divorce decree, Christine wants the house and she wants full custody of Dion. And Delilah's like, she doesn't want full custody of Dion. That's just a bargaining tool. He's like, well, why would she put it in there? She says, because she wants the house. He says, well, she can have the house. She's like, no, that house is half of yours. Mm. But couldn't they use the fact that, but they would say he's a friend of the family. That helpful. So Delilah says, you know what, we can't go after her for, abandonment. He's like, abandonment. She's like, yes. Dion has been with me for 6 months. Christine has not yet once come to get him. That's abandonment. So then he says, no, we can't do that. I'm like, what? She's cheated on you in your house, and you don't want to, boy, if you don't go after her for abandonment. So then he gets a text message from Christine, and Christine says that she'll come pick Dion up tomorrow. I'm like, oh, you helpful. You really trying it. Let's move on. All right, you guys. So you remember I said that not Lil Mama, Maya was putting together the events with Gordon and Lil Mama. So she asked Gordon, I once heard you and mom fighting over a woman the woman that you were having an affair with. Is Lil Mama that woman? He says yes. But he says, but the marriage of your mother and I was over long before Lil Mama and I got involved. If the marriage was over long before you guys got involved, why cheat? I hate when I hear people say that, oh, our marriage is over before the affair. Well, if the marriage was over before the affair, why not get a divorce? Why not start the divorce, the divorce proceedings, and then after your divorce, see this person? Okay. So she tells him like, hey, I don't like her and I don't want to spend time with her. And he's telling her that she has to respect her because he's asked her to move in with him. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have to come around you if you want her to live here. That's fine. You be with her. You be with her. And that's crazy. What's more important to you, Gordon? Your kids or Lil Mama? But okay. So then we see Leah. She's at her apartment and she's cleaning up, and her phone keeps ringing back to back to back, and it's Fred. I'm like, what is up with Fred? Like some crazed ass stalker. So then we see Delilah, and she is trying to do whatever she's doing whatever she can so that way she can get Maya into this conservatory. So she's trying to make deals to get her an audition, and we'll talk about that a little later. And then she also gets a call from Jamal. So Jamal wants some business advice from Delilah. And even in my notes, I said something just feels off with Jamal. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but just something feels a little bit off when it comes to Mr. Jamal. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. Next, we see Harper and we see Demetrius. So they come to Delilah with some stuff that Mace found. So Mace found some wire transfers to a Pine City Trust LLC from Osborne. And Harper says, she reached out to the Secretary of State and she found out that the president of Pine City Trust LLC is this Rick Pattengale. So now, things are like, okay, so we might not be able to use Gary Shea's files, but if we can, figure out what's going on with these wire transfers, where they went, and they did go to some offshore accounts, I believe they said in Belize, and the payments were listed as consulting fees. But the other thing is that Pine City Trust LLC, they have a PO box, and it's right there in wherever city they are in. I forget where they are. I actually forget where they are, to be quite honest with you, but they have a PO box there. So Harper and Delilah walk off, and Harper says, you told her I went to law school? And Demetria, Delilah was like, yeah. And that's when Harper is talking to Delilah, and then Demetria comes up, like, stop playing the victim, girl. Like, I have a lot of baggage myself, but I don't bring it to work with me every day. She's like, you can't because you ride the bus. And that's when, she's talking about the Jane. Once again, she brings up the Jane Doe file. And she said, the Jane Doe file, Jane Doe, how are you? And her face was like, oh, you're Jane Doe? And I really felt bad for Harper in that scene because Harper's like, I was a Jane Doe. I was pulled over by two racist white cops who couldn't believe that a black woman could afford a nice car, and they threw me into a mental hospital. And that was my first year of law school. I was like, oh. And she's like, I've been working really hard to get back to, myself. But then when you came, it just went out the window. I'm like, and then, just looking at Demetria, it's like, pick your face up, because your face shattered to pieces when you realize you've been digging into this girl's life, and that was something that was traumatic for her. All right. So then we see Dion. So Dion is sitting on the steps at Delilah's, and he asks her, is his mom coming? He says, she's not coming, is she? And Delilah tries to, talk, tell him, there might be reasons why, she might not be coming. Christina's just the effed up person is what she is. But there's a knock at the door, and who is it? It's Christine. I'm like, oh, now you want to be the loving mother. Delilah, eat her to shreds. That's all I got to say. Let's move on. All right, you guys. So then we see Delilah. So she went over to Gordon's to tell Maya that, she was able to, open up an audition slot for her at Preston. And she's really happy about that. So then she notices that, she's down, that she's not as enthusiastic as she was expecting, since this is what she wanted. So then she asks her if Lil Mama is the one that broke up her and Gordon. And Delilah says yes. And, Maya says, well, can I come home with you? Because I don't want to be around her. I don't like her. And Delilah's like, I wish I could, but I have to honor the custody agreement with your dad. And she was like, okay. I really felt bad for her. I just don't get how Gordon can expect for her to be okay with this, but I mean, whatever. So here's the thing that I really would want to talk about. So when it comes down to the Wynn Sr. and Wynn Jr., I think his mother was there and his wife were there. Wynn's mother, Wynn Jr.'s mom, and his wife. Looking at that table, I got a vibe of racist and misogynist. I got those two vibes just looking at those people, and I was just sitting there thinking to myself, why does Tamra want to be a full partner with the likes of these people? And they were talking about there are not very many women that are partners at the firm. And I bet you if you count on one hand how many of them are black women. Like, I was just confused. I'm looking at them. I'm like, they must have a big, that must be what it is. They must have a big name in the city, because I just can't for the life of me understand why Tamra wants to be a part of this. It seems like it's an all boys club and it's an all white boys club. So I don't understand that. So then when Senior is talking to Casey, asking Casey if he's gonna run for Senate, and Tamara looks at him like, this is the first I'm hearing of this, which they discussed that. And I like Casey's answer about even running for Senate, and what that means for him and Tamara. He could run for Senate, but like Dr. Biden, she would still be able to, he would want Tamara to still do what she loves and what makes her happy, and not give everything up just for his political aspirations. And that, like I said, they have a conversation afterwards, and he tells her that, this is just people talking. Like, I haven't settled on this one, yay or nay. So then we see Delilah, and she and Jamal, they're going over the documents. So it was kind of confusing, the documents, but he did say that Tamara told him to call Delilah to have her look at the documents instead of asking for a second date. But the thing with the documents it's a reparations tax that's coming from Casey's. I believe it's coming from Casey's administration, but the reparations tax, this document that he has, it's signed by Wynn Sr. and Wynn Jr. because they want to take it to the Supreme Court to knock it down. And that's why I was like, I don't understand why Tamara wants to work with them, because like I said, looking at that table, that dinner, I definitely got racist. And I definitely got misogynistic. But more so, I got racist. So we see Delilah and Jamal. They dance to whatever the title of this episode is, and they had a good time. And then to close the episode out, you guys, we see Fred. So Fred goes over to Leah's place, and he tells her he wants to talk to her. So she told him he needs to go, and then at the end of the episode, he grabbed her hand. Well, actually grabbed her wrist, and he's saying that they need to end this. I don't know what it is, but he wants to end something. But that's the episode, you guys. Be sure to like this video, leave your comments in the comment section below, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. Also, go subscribe to the Planner channel, and stay safe, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear your mask, and social distance, and we're going to get through this together. Until the next one, you guys, I will see you guys later.